My wife is famous in our scouting circles for two things: knives and fires. Last week we talked about knives, so this week let's take on this second favorite topic in our household, the scout fire. Now, if you're like many of us, as soon as your friends or family learn that you're a scout, they will ask you to build a fire for some outdoor social event. Well, fear not. The Boy Scouts of America have prepared you for this moment, and we're going to learn more about fires and how to start them in this edition of Artifact of the Week. Being able to build and start a fire is an essential skill that every scout should have. So let's start at the beginning. A fire must have three basic elements in order to burn. It needs fuel, oxygen, and heat. There's also an order of steps you should probably follow if you don't want those around you to think you don't know what you're doing. First, think about fire safety. To keep fires safe in the BSA, scouts should earn their firemanship, which outlines how to safely build and tend to your fire. Make sure you check out the Scout BSA Handbook and the Guide to Safe Scouting for safety matters. And always, follow the principles of leave no trace in your outdoor adventures. Second, select and prepare your site. Keep in mind things like wind, humidity, and temperature. Clear the area and remember to check overhead for combustible materials and rock overhangs. Fires built under a rock overhang can soil the face of the rock for many years to come. The next step is to gather fuel or wood. Now you'll need three types of fuel: tinder, kindling, and fuel wood. Now tinder is any dry, easily lit material like dry grass, dryer lint, wood shavings, and twigs. Keep tinder small and remember it won't burn for long, but that's really not a problem because the tinder will light the kindling. Now kindling is made up of dry twigs no larger than a pencil. Kindling must be very dry and should be able to be snapped into smaller pieces with your hands. Finally, there's your fuel wood. Fuel wood for a campfire or small cooking fire doesn't need to be big. In fact, keep your fuel wood no larger than your wrist. If you're building a big campfire, you can keep it smaller than your forearm. And make sure you have an ample supply. You should also understand the kind of wood you will be burning. Hardwoods will burn hot and much longer, while softer woods like pine will burn faster. Instead of telling you how to build a fire, I'm going to jump to the chase and show you some of the fire starting tools and kits we have here in the collection of the National Scouting Museum. On the wall in the main exhibit hall, we have a 1940s era fire by friction kit on display. There is another version of this kit in the collection, and while it's similar, there are a few differences. We also recently received the donation of this official BSA flint and steel kit. As you can see, there are two flint stones included in this example. Some of these kits originally came with cotton balls, wood shavings, or other similar materials that the spark from the flint and steel could ignite. In the 1970s, the BSA flint and steel kit looked like this example here. Now, I had one of these in my wilderness survival kit, and I loved using it to build fires. In fact, I used it so much I wore out the flint during my time as a scout. Now, of course, all good scouts know you can always start a fire with steel wool and a battery. Ernest Thompson Seton noted in the first edition of the Scout Handbook, "All scouts, I find, are surprised and greatly interested to learn that not only is it possible, it's easy to make a friction fire if you know how, and hopeless if you don't." Well, that still stands true today, more than 110 years later. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Join us next time as we learn more about the history of the BSA through the collection of the National Scouting Museum and Artifact of the Week.